Welcome to a place for those in search of truth and conviction, a place where we discuss culture, politics, philosophy, and everything in between. I'm Luke, and I'm here with Russ. This is Hardly Strictly Politics.
Hell yes, dear listener. The HSP Boys are back in the saddle once again for episode number 58. Thank you so much for jumping in the saddle with us. 58 episodes, dear listener. Another 2 weeks off the saddle, but don't you worry, the HSP Boys are great again. Luke is back in Germany, so we're back to the same old intro. Some words of comfort to kick off this trail ride today. 2 separate continents, 2 separate countries, 2 separate adult beverages, just to make it fair, and 2 separate cups of coffee fee. 2 separate fact shamings, 2 separate trails to the same inevitable conclusion. 58, dear listener. 58 is actually an unremarkable number. I can't really think of anything cool about the number 58 except for one, the Shure SM58 microphone, the battle tank of microphones. And there's also one other thing, and y'all know exactly what that is. 58 means we've got 58 miles to ride on this trail right here, right now. So let's not tarry. Let's saddle up and ride into episode number 58, which is in the house presently. Find us on Facebook at Zero Gravity Med. Same thing on Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. Send us email at feedback@zero-gravity-media.com. That's feedback at zero-gravity-media.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn, and Podbean, all 5 under Zero Gravity Media. Find us on YouTube, look for Zero Gravity Media and our God tier, Zero G logo. Leave us some feedback using the contact form at our website, that's zero-gravity-media.com and zero-gravity-media.com/contact. All right, dear listener, first of all, right out of the gate, yet another mass shooting in Texas, this time in Greenville, Texas. Happened last night at about 1:30 in the morning, right in my backyard. Shooting happened at a homecoming party for the Texas A&M University Commerce Homecoming. The shooter is still at large, somewhere between 2 and 4 dead and 20 wounded. Mine and Luke's condolences to all the victims. Sorry to be crass, but just get ready for another gun grab, dear listener. It's too soon, I know, but also too true. Just get ready for it. All right, and in more white-pilling news, I want to blow through some shout-outs from some people that Luke and I met at the Trump rally a couple weeks back. First of all, we've got Mike Trump from Arlington. Mike, you were a big help to me that day. Thank you so much, sir, and welcome to the trail. Stoney, my old friend from Dallas, Texas. It's great to see you, brother. Beverly from Addison, Liz from Grand Prairie, Judy from Richardson, and Judith from North Richland Hills. Bruce from Wyoming and Mike from Wyoming, and they were not traveling together. They came separately to the Trump rally. Alberto from Waxahachie, thank you for your service, sir. Mike from Rockwall, Richard from Wiley, Maria from Plano. Get this name right here, dear listener, Cassiopeia from Dallas. She goes by Cassie, so shout out to Cassie. Josh from San Diego, Jim and Bella from Flower Mound, Barron from Baton Rouge and his lovely lady whose name I forgot, Dan and Catherine from OKC, Greg and Rhonda from Albuquerque, Mason, Daniel, Jana, Amy, and y'all's children, and your friend who was also with you whose name I forgot from Burleson. Shout out to y'all. Mary Kay and your lovely compatriot from Longview, sorry I forgot your name. Christopher from Dallas, thank you for the engaging conversation. The Mega Gals. Ladies, I'm sorry I can't remember your name, but you know who you are. You're from San Antonio, and you had the presidential suite at the Crescent. Shout out to you. Shane the Cowboy, Poss from Coppell, and most of all, the biggest shout out of all, the utmost shout out to my trusty partner in crime and my trusty co-host Luke, and to his lovely wife Jessica, who I finally got to meet in person at the Trump rally. It was a pleasure, Luke, and way to make it great again. Way to get here to Texas and go to a Trump rally. And let's go do it again and again and again, brother. Let's go to as many of these rallies as we can get to. What do you say?
Absolutely, man. That was so much fun. I think we're going to talk about that in segment 2, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not to get ahead of ourselves. Sorry about that. It was just so white-pilling I had to lead with it. You know what I mean?
That was so much fun, man. I had a blast.
Yeah, it was. I did too, man. So, all right. You want to lay out the trail map for us this week?
Why don't you go ahead and do that, man? Because we show prepped while I was driving, so you've got the trail map, and you've got the trail map in front of you. So lay it out for us, and then we'll go from there.
All right, sounds good. All right, dear listener, we are a little bit pressed for time today, so we're going for a little bit shorter show. We're only doing 2 segments, no third segment grab bag special this week. Sorry about that. We'll get back up in the saddle on it next week. We promise you for episode number 59. But we're going to take it in 2 segments. Segment number 1 is going to be the killing of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. We're going to talk a little bit about impeachment. We're going to go to audio break from there, and coming back into segment 2, we're going to talk about the Trump rally just to get us hyped up and white-pilled. We're going to talk a little bit about Tulsi Gabbard. We're going to talk about William Barr and John Bull Durham, even though I covered it pretty exhaustively in Bots, Thoughts, and Drops issue number 21. I want to hear Luke's take on it. We've got a couple more developments in this case. It's really interesting stuff. And we are going to get out on yet another clown pill on the way out. And we're going to talk about Pierre Delecto. So embarrassing, dude.
Unbelievable, man.
It is, man. It is. So man, I've got to tell you, I'm really impressed with your news gathering skills, because we got on the horn at about like 9:10 my time this morning, about an hour ago, right? And you already knew about the Trump presser. You already knew about how Trump described al-Baghdadi dying like a dog. all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, first of all, how did you find out the news? At what time? And like, I also want to know, is this big news in Germany? Are people really talking about this there?
Well, I have certain mechanisms in place that alert me to news. I have an app called, I forget what it's called, Conservative Report or something like that. Basically, it aggregates Drudge Report, Fox News, CNN. So like basically Drudge Report and then the 3 or 4 big news outlets, and then sends me push notifications anytime there's like a big happening going on. And then I accidentally a few weeks ago allowed, I think it's trendingpolitics.com, kind of like a right-wing trending politics site. I allowed them to start sending me notifications over Chrome, which I never do. I did that on accident, but they send me really good notifications. So between those 2 mechanisms, I'm always privy to whatever's going on.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I just see the headline. I'm like, oh, that's definitely HSP material. And then I'll click through and read. As far as that being big news in Germany, I mean, if Trump didn't do something bad, then it's not big news in Germany. So you'll only ever hear about Trump doing something wrong. And outside of that, then nothing's ever really newsworthy here.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, but man, he surely did something right. And what I found interesting about that, first of all, waking up to the news of the mass shooting right in my backyard last night, and then also, the big story, that's going to get memory hold pretty quickly, I think, because of this al-Baghdadi shooting. That's a really big deal. And the interesting thing I found about this, that I found myself thinking, is like, man, has it been 3 or 4 times previously that al-Baghdadi has been rumored to have been killed by the United States? And then he shows up in some mosque somewhere, radicalizing some new Muslims. Every single time that Obama would brag about how they had killed Baghdadi, he wasn't dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but Trump said in the presser, and we're going to play some audio from that presser for you, dear listener. He said that they have forensic DNA evidence, even though there wasn't much of his body left, because he suicided by explosive vest and killed 3 children along with him, apparently. They have DNA proof that it was him this time and that he's really gone. So, I mean, the president scored a major home run on this one. I mean, I hate to wish death on people, but that son of a bitch had to die, dude. I mean, seriously, he had to die,
I don't hate wishing death on. I do wish death on some people.
Yeah, somebody like that. Yeah, he's a truly evil human being. And dear listener, just in case you don't know exactly who he is the creator of ISIS. He is the mullah, kind of their priest. He's their high priest. ISIS's high priest. He's the one who created this terrorist organization.
We should say imam.
Yeah, imam. That's right. Not mullah. My bad. Yeah, it's imam. Yeah. Oh, dang. That's bad. Sorry about that.
I think you said priest.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did.
Sorry, Catholics.
I'm just trying to, yeah. Yeah, my bad. But he was their tactician as well as their spiritual guide. And so, yeah, it's good that he's gone. But man, I mean, just get ready for the criticism, Luke, because the press conference was pretty graphic. The president was pretty graphic in his descriptions about things, you know. Oh, good, that son of a bitch is dead, but our service dog got wounded. It's too bad, the poor dog. It was such a talented dog. Wait for them to come out. Instead of praising him about what he just did, the left is going to come out and talk about what a brute he was. My prediction. That's what I think.
Oh,
So-
it's already happening. The number three,
is it? Really?
the number 3 United States trend on Twitter. The first one is ISIS. Number 2 is Baghdadi. And number 3 is bin Laden.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Nope.
Oh, yeah, maybe Trump killed al-Baghdadi, but it was Barack Hussein Obama who killed bin Laden. Don't forget.
Oh, man. So predictable.
Yeah.
So predictable.
Well, what they're saying on Twitter, what all these idiots are saying, I mean, to be fair, it's I would say probably 60% people on the right calling out these people. So they're saying Obama took a vote of his cabinet on killing Osama bin Laden. Donald Trump just did it. This is from the Situation Room. Another person says Osama bin Laden is killed. Obama is a hero. He literally killed OBL himself. Leader of ISIS is killed. Trump made more terrorists. You people are insufferably predictable. The Obama administration hid and destroyed key information on the death of bin Laden because it didn't want to upset our terrorist enemies. Sounds like Donald Trump may take a different approach. Which is, I think that's something that I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here if we've got some facts that we still need to lay out, but I think that is a very cogent observation because this is something that I wanted to, as we listen to this presser and as we listen to Trump talk about how he died like a dog and this and that, and it was, not an honorable death. And, this is when you kill Osama bin Laden and then take him out on a boat and give him an honorable Muslim burial and wrap him in white and let him go at sea in the privacy of, and it's just encouraging more people to follow in his footsteps and go, well, he died, but look how weak and pathetic they are. They clearly do not believe, the enemy clearly does not believe that they are morally right in what they did. And therefore, and their lack of celebration would indicate as much. Therefore, we just need to do this again. We need to find a new leader and we need to do it all over again.
Right.
What Trump is doing, he is not just, he doesn't view the death of Baghdadi as simply we won. Trump's going for the moral points here. He's going for the moral victory by saying he died like a dog. Your battle was in vain. We will destroy you. We will kill you. And not only will we kill your leaders like dogs, we'll kill you like dogs too. And we'll discuss you in the same way. It's a moral battle. It's a moral victory that Trump's winning. And this is a moral victory that both Bush and Obama just failed miserably on, pathetically failed. And it's embarrassing for our troops the way they handled that. It's embarrassing for everybody that went over there and was wounded in war. It's embarrassing for everybody. It's disgraceful, and they should be ashamed of themselves in spite of everything they may or may not have accomplished. They should be ashamed of themselves the way they handled that. And Trump coming out and saying these things is a moral victory, and it's encouraging for our troops. And most importantly, it's discouraging for theirs.
Yes. That's a great point, man. That's a very salient point. You're right about Bush and Obama both. It was like, well, sorry I had to kill Osama bin Laden, but I'm still going to brag about it. But it's really evil of the United States for us to have to kill him the way we did. Yeah, it was an apologetic victory that they still bragged about. They talked out of both sides of their mouth about it, and Trump is unapologetically just saying, yeah, we killed the son of a bitch and we can prove it. We didn't discard his body at sea. We've got the what's left of him in a body bag right now, and we know it's him. Yeah, you're right. That's a salient point, man. It is a very discouraging message for those left of Al-Qaeda, or rather of ISIS. Well, and Al-Qaeda for that point too. Both of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. But I mean, even when I think the overarching narrative here is that even when the president does right, they're still going to spin it just the way that you said. Right now, you're insufferably predictable leftists. They're going to spin it into a wrong. even though this is truly a moral victory. You're right.
Yeah.
So, these leftists, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm just kind of going through Twitter. I mean, I don't like it when Fox News and these other people pull random tweets up. They're like, hey, let's see what at John Smith had to say on, let's see what this random unimportant Twitter user had. Like, nobody cares. What's good about Twitter is that you can get a feel for the prevailing sentiments of either side and the arguments if you read through it quickly. And that's what I'm doing now. Because it just happened to be that when we started recording, I looked at the trends and saw Osama bin Laden trending.
Unreal.
Yeah, comparing the two.
So what is the overall sentiment, would you say, that you're seeing?
Honestly, Trump baited them into this by comparing. It seems like Trump led off the comparison by saying, nobody ever heard of bin Laden. Nobody listened to me. So they're bringing up the stuff that Trump had said in his book, supposedly.
Right.
And basically, and I think Trump is in a way sort of baiting them into us because Trump's saying he's like, Osama bin Laden was big, but this is bigger. This man built a whole caliphate. Osama bin Laden, he just became known because of the World Trade Center. And I think he's sort of baiting the left into outrage right now, which is actually kind of funny. Yeah, here we go. Quote, bin Laden was very big, but he became big with the World Trade Center. The commander-in-chief hyping Baghdadi as a more enterprising terrorist because he thinks it means he bested President Obama, because that's what this is all about to Trump. A game. #impeach. I think he's baiting them into this, man.
Good. Yeah, good. Well, we're going to talk about it here in just a second, but they have to turn it right back around to that impeachment narrative as soon as possible, don't they, though? They can't let it go just for a moment, can they?
Yeah, here we go. He loved watching it, quote, like a movie, end quote, making him die a, quote, violent, end quote, death, just like, quote, like a dog, end quote. Not exactly the dignified way Obama announced the death of bin Laden. He revels in death and violence.
#impeach.
Dude, it's so pathetic, man. These idiot people.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it really is.
They're so predictable, man. Yeah,
at this point they are. They've got no new plays in the playbook at this point in time. Nothing. You know?
I mean, the thing is like, it's not that, it's not that you should view, or it's not that one should view, death and violence as something unto it, something desirable unto itself. But you should celebrate death and violence when it's in retaliation for death and violence.
Right.
When these people threaten the United States with terrorist attacks, when they commit terrorist attacks, they put out these violent videos burning people alive and beheading them, beheading Americans, and this sort of thing. I celebrate their death and violence because that's what they deserve. It's a form of justice, and I celebrate justice. So
right.
it's not that it's not that you view death and violence as something to be celebrated unto itself, but when it's a form of justice, then absolutely it deserves celebration. We should celebrate that. I wish he would have died a more violent death. I mean, it's unfortunate he got off with a mere suicide by explosion. I wish he would have died. I wish he would have suffered more. That would have been better. But unfortunately, we didn't have that opportunity. But yeah, absolutely, I celebrate this. This is great. Totally. Be unapologetic.
Man,
be celebratory.
Me. Yeah, you've just white pilled me about that, man. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is why when that guy got, on last episode, when we were talking about that Antifa guy that got run over by the car, who cares? They're violent people. They had that coming. It's a form of justice. Hopefully that deters them from being violent against others, hitting people in the head with bike locks, causing brain damage to Andy Ngo. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Andy No.
Andy
No.
No.
How most people say it.
Yeah. They caused him brain damage from beating him. And he's a journalist. He's a reporter. They hit people in the head with bike locks. I don't feel one bit of sadness that somebody got ran over and killed. Good. Hopefully it's a deterrent. Why? Why do I celebrate that? Because it's a form of justice, and I celebrate justice.
Yeah.
So this is just another instance of that. So yeah, be white pilled. We can be happy about this. We should be happy about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, and to that stupid leftist who talked about, Trump's brutality, relishing in death and all this kind of stuff, they don't understand your point that you just made, that this is a moral crusade to discourage further attacks. That's why Trump talked about this so brutally as he did. You know what I mean? To rub their nose in it. If you do this, we're going to BTFO you just the way we did al-Baghdadi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're going to talk about you in public just the way we're talking about al-Baghdadi right now. That's the point. It's a demoralization campaign, right? It's not celebrating death unto itself, death and violence and all that kind of stuff. It is a demoralization campaign against ISIS. We took their leader out. He died like a dog. You keep this up, you're going to die like a dog too.
Yeah, and not just ISIS, but any Muslim fighter, any radical extremist Muslim group. They're all over the world. I mean, Hezbollah is. We've covered this in past episodes. Hezbollah is all over the world.
They are.
It's demoralizing for all of them. They're looking. God, do I want to die like a dog? And all of my family members have to blow themselves up with suicide. I don't want that. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe we should cool our heels a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you're apologetic and, they're over there like, oh, great. I can be like the world's most famous terrorist. I'll go down as one of the most renowned Muslim fighters. And then I get an honorable burial by my own enemy. Wonderful. That's just going to encourage me even more.
Right.
Congratulations, Obama. Thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
And this is also telling of the dishonesty of the left as well, because do you honestly think for a moment that the left is over here going, mad over Patton, telling in that movie Patton, when he tells the soldiers, he's like, talking about killing those Nazi sons of bitches. And he's, what's better than dying for your country is making some other son of a bitch die for his. Do you think that they're upset about that kind of language? No, but because it's Nazis, then, now suddenly they don't care. But when we're talking about Muslims, now all of a sudden they're pearl clutching and, we can't say these things. Why not?
It's so, yeah.
What's
that was one of my takeaways. I was going to get into that. Yeah. Yeah. It's this unholy alliance of LBGT or whatever, Q plus whatever, Muslim victim class, African-American victim class, illegal victim class, this unholy alliance that they have drawn together, this coalition of the ascendant, as they used to call it, right? Where they, in fact, can't get along within their own ranks. But Muslims are a wholly protected class to the left, just like illegal alien children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that, I think, has a lot to do with this. And you said it perfectly, the virtue signaling about violence against Muslims. I mean, man, I expect Council on American Islamic Relations to come out with a statement about it. We cannot tolerate this violence toward Muslims anymore. Oh my God. And Luke and I've already BTFO'd them in a previous episode. I can't remember which one.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was about to say, when the tables are turned and it's a Muslim violence against non-Muslims, well, suddenly those weren't Muslims. Those aren't real Muslims.
Right.
But when we kill actual terrorists, they go, we can't talk about these people that way. We need to give them an honorable Muslim burial.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe that was like a sly troll. Maybe that's the reason Obama gave Osama bin Laden like an honorable Muslim burial. Actually, if Trump did that, that would be a troll. That would be some form of chess. In fact, Trump should he should make like a big display of it, be like, send the remains off to Mecca and make a huge display of how he needs an honorable Muslim burial because they're good Muslims,
Right.
That's what I would do.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry, we've only got one arm and a piece of a foot left, but we're going to send this to Mecca.
I'd just like to reach out to our Muslim brother and sisters and extend our condolences.
Yeah. But I have to say, for the as a footnote, and put this in the record, you're right. I do believe that, the way Obama virtue signaled for Osama bin Laden's death, wrapped in a shroud and dumped into the sea. First of all, that always kind of raised maybe prick up my ears just a little bit. First of all, because I don't know of any Muslim honorable sea deaths, right? Now, that is how Obama virtue signaled it and spun it. I think that there was something else going on here, and something nefarious, something where they just totally wanted that body gone, right? One of these types of things, there have always been rumors that Osama bin Laden died in a cave on a dialysis machine in 2001. Those rumors have always existed since right after 9/11, okay? So it's one of these things that makes you go, did they really kill bin Laden? And was that really the body in that shroud? And really, why would you throw it out to sea so that it could never be discovered again? It could not be dug up and proven, So it's just one of those things. Yeah. It just never made sense to me. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that was not bin Laden, okay? I'm not saying that, but it never made sense. You know what I mean? Particularly Obama virtue signaling for it being we gave him an honorable Muslim death. We wrapped him in a white shroud and dumped him out to sea. I've never heard of that being an honorable Muslim death until Obama. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it dawns on me now that next time somebody's like, oh, well, they're not real Muslims, I'm going to say, well, didn't Obama give him an honorable Muslim death? Burial, rather? Yeah. Well, then what's wrong with Obama? Obama certainly thought so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're telling me we should have just, dumped him at sea and not done anything? Is that what we should have done with Osama bin Laden? Well, no. I'm not saying that.
Right. Twist them up.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Here we go.
Their entire logic.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, well, they have no logic. That's their problem. Yeah, but
exactly.
Dude, Washington Post changed the title on this.
Oh, really?
Their original title was Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, Islamic State's terrorist in chief, dies at 48. Then they changed it. Later, they changed it to Abu al-Baghdadi, austere religious scholar at helm of Islamic State, dies at 48.
Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me.
No, dude, Tim Pool just tweeted it out.
Wow. Austere religious leader. There it is, the virtue signaling for the Muslims right there. There it is. Insufferably predictable.
It is so bad, man.
Oh, man. God. Man, just despicable. Absolutely despicable.
Yeah, I guess they offended some terrorists. That was the real problem there.
Right. Huh. Let me zoom through some headlines here real quick. I want to see. Oh yeah, no statement from CARE yet, but it's coming. You can believe that. They'll have something to say about it. Yeah.
Well, maybe not. I mean, I would imagine like AOC has nothing to say on this.
Yeah. You might be right. Yeah, you might be right. So,
I'm trying to. What was it that happened that AOC was just silent on? It was like some terrorist attack somewhere. She literally did not say
the bomber. Yeah, it was the Antifa bomber that tried to bomb the detention facility.
What it was.
Up in. Yeah.
Just not a word. I wouldn't be surprised if CARE doesn't have a word to say about this.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me either. They would be smart to keep their mouths shut about this. I tell you that. They would be very smart just to shut up, But I don't know. I mean, maybe we can use this to kind of transition into this impeachment stuff going on. They certainly had a lot to say when Trump came out with the lynching comment last weekend. They had a press release. I just now found it. Didn't know about this. It came out on the 22nd. CARE unequivocally condemns Trump's racist false equivalence of impeachment inquiry to lynching, right? When Trump put out the lynching tweet that this was a witch hunt lynching. Yeah. So CARE had something to say about that. It's racist. We completely condemn the word lynching, even though Biden said it, even though everybody on the left has said it for years. It's never been a problem until Trump said it. It is a lynching. You know what I mean? But I'm looking at CARE's website right now, and there is no press release about this. So I think you're probably right, Luke. They're going to stay kind of shut up about this.
Yeah.
At least for a while, until they can use it to their advantage, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So we should move on to the lynching, to the impeachment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, there's not really a whole lot to say about it. I mean, dear listener, the truth of the matter is that this truly, you've heard Hannity say it, you've heard Rush Limbaugh, everybody saying it. This truly isn't an impeachment inquiry just yet. It has not been voted on in the House. It's being done in a skiff in a basement building on Capitol Hill that only Democrats are allowed entrance to. Republicans aren't allowed to come at all. They are trying to keep transcripts hidden from Republicans. Adam Schiff, I assume, is leaking whatever he wants that happens in these hearings out to the media. Nobody says a damn word about it. He's getting away with it. No problem for him to leak, but, you know, oh my God, any Trump leaks. Oh God, he has to be impeached, right? So, but I can't find the story right now, Luke, and this is a bit of a setback. There was a decision by a judge in New York on Friday that said the way the Democrats are running this impeachment scam is constitutional. Now, I don't know anything about, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what that means. But I would think that a federal judge doesn't really have any business in weighing in on the constitutionality of a legislative branch impeachment. That's the first thing I would think, you know? I don't know. Well, yeah, what are your thoughts about it, man?
Well, I was watching, did you see that the Newt Gingrich appearance on The View?
No, sir. I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, so what he was saying on The View is, because they were asking him, they were like, well, what's the difference between this and when you tried to impeach Bill Clinton? So they tried to equivocate between those two. And he said, well, the difference is that, and this goes back to what you were just saying, Russ. He said, the difference is that when they impeached Bill Clinton, they used the same set of rules and the same procedures that were used during Watergate. And he said that was a very bipartisan process and procedure. And he said it was not done in secret. It was out in the open. Everything was open to both sides. It was a bipartisan impeachment.
Right.
And he said, they're just doing whatever the hell they want. They've thrown all that out the window with this. They're doing everything in the secret. And it really is a Soviet style thing. You know, and Trump's coming out accusing them of treason. And I actually looked up the definition of treason to make sure I properly understood what it was. And this is totally treason. They were trying to overthrow the government behind closed doors. And I would surmise to say that what they are discussing behind closed doors when they aren't discussing anything with the Republicans is, all right, so like what do we got? What do we got here? What are we working? What do we have to work with? It's not what happened. It's what do we have to work with? I think that's what they're discussing behind the closed doors.
Yeah.
And
I think you're right.
Yeah. And this is a Soviet style impeachment, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. It's a coup. I mean, it's coup 2.0, just like Luke and I were the first ones to call Russiagate a coup. We were the very first ones to say it. Then all of a sudden, somehow it got out into the mainstream media within a matter of days, and everybody was calling it a coup. This is exactly the same type of situation. This is coup 2.0 to overthrow the administration, to overthrow the president. And all because they cannot accept the fact that they lost an election. That's the way actually conservative media is spinning it. Luke, I don't really think that explains the whole story. I think that they're pushing this impeachment so hard because they are now officially in deep, deep doo-doo with this stuff going on with William Barr and John Bull Durham, which we're going to get into in segment 2, dear listener. But they are in serious trouble. And if they don't stop Trump right now, let's just leave it at this point. There is a criminal investigation open right now for which all of the leftist henchmen are implicated. All of them are, right?
And on the right too.
And some on the right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's twofold. I think one aspect is that they are not happy with the concept of giving the power back to the people, so to speak. They want to be able to run the show. The left doesn't like the right rising up. The left, to the left, the right is sort of their yes man. And they don't like it when the yes man
Always
gets
has
out of
been.
line.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah,
their
that's
little
right.
beta cuck followers. And
That's right.
you know, the person who always gets the most scorn is the betas, you know? And then
Yeah.
you know what I mean though? It's like some kids in class can get in trouble and nothing happens to them. And then like some other kid does the same thing and then the teacher's like, "Oh my, I can't believe you did this. I'm taking you to the principal's office." It's like, you know, the former is the left and the latter is traditionally the right. And Trump doesn't put up with that crap. He breaks out of that frame entirely. And I think in the beginning, that's what it was, because they didn't like it. The left doesn't have ultimate control in totality over our political system, which they had before. They've got the educational institutions behind them. They've got the tech companies behind them. They've got the media behind them, and they own the political system. And they just had it. And Trump has, in concert with the internet and then taking the media on, destroyed all of that entirely. That's, I think, what it was at first. And now I think they really see the threat that they face, which is that it's way worse than they could have ever imagined, that Trump's going to start turning over stones. He's going to start opening closets and looking at the skeletons in those closets. And he's got Barr on this. Barr's traveling all over Europe, talking, to various people all over Europe and as well as in Australia. They just gave the authority to open a criminal investigation to Durham. So now he can start issuing subpoenas and he can form a grand jury. You know, we talked about a year ago, I think it was around this time last year, Russ, I'd come to the conclusion that I was like, I'm over this and I'll just wait until something actually happens. And this is the first time where I'm like, okay, maybe something really is happening now.
Same here.
Maybe the show's about to really start. And to the extent that the left pushes this, you know, a lot of people on the right, like Hannity, they're like, oh, they're impeaching him because they know they can't beat him. I think they've accepted the fact that they can't beat Trump. I think they're trying to impeach Trump because they don't want to get criminally charged.
That's what I think. That's exactly what I think. Yeah. Yeah. And it's falling down on all sides. I mean, you know, shoot, man. I mean, I guess we might as well go ahead and talk about the William Barr, John Bull Durham bit now. Go ahead and move it up to segment 1.
Sure.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, they fit hand in glove. They're being hit on so many sides right now. I mean, first of all, there was a brilliant Sundance piece on the conservative treehouse. I've got it pulled up here somewhere. I'll see if I can dig it up. Where what he talked about is, all right, what's going on here is that this judge's decision, you know, is not really that big of a deal. The result of that judge's decision on the constitutionality of the impeachment process gives Gerald Nadler and Adam Schiff access to the grand jury testimony from the Mueller probe, okay? Now, they don't have access to anything else other than grand jury testimony. That seems a little bit threatening, okay? You got to keep in mind, though, the Mueller probe was not a criminal investigation. This is a criminal investigation. And they're not only getting hit by William Barr and John Bull Durham, they don't know when they started getting hit, Luke.
Yeah.
Nobody knows exactly when this criminal investigation began. They only announced it on Thursday.
Yeah.
Right? They only announced it then. So
I think
go ahead.
I think this is why, and we talked about this a couple months ago, I think this is why Barr has been laying so low. He doesn't want to doesn't want to attract too much attention.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I apologize for this on bots number 21. I've said I've been critical of William Barr because things just weren't happening, right? Man, I'm kind of seeing the game change here. And this is some pretty crazy stuff. I've got a piece here. It's by a guy named Turco Pallier. He's got a blog. I'm just going to take it from the lead. It goes thus. I do not believe in coincidences. I do not believe that there is a mere coincidence that these 3 events occurred late last night. Number 1, the investigation of the roots of the plot to destroy Donald Trump and his presidency is now a criminal matter. Number 2, a letter from Inspector General Horowitz announcing that his report on the FISA fraud would be out shortly with no major redactions. And number 3, the government caved to honey badger Sidney Powell and allowed her to fully expose criminal conduct by Michael Flynn's prosecutors. What's going on here? 2 words, Bill Barr. The Attorney General has pulled the trigger and altered the landscape in the Russiagate saga. having been granted full authority by the president to declassify information, including intel from the CIA and the NSA, he has now acted in a powerful but low-key way. Exactly what Luke was just saying. I think that summarizes it very well.
Who wrote that article?
Here.
I missed that.
A guy named Turco Polye. He's got a blog, a political blog that he runs. It's a typepad blog. And I was led to this piece in a comment from, I think I saw it in the caller comment section. And somebody was like, this guy nails it. So I clicked on it and I read it. I'm like, damn, boy, he sure did nail it. He sure did, So.
Oh, man. Yeah, dude, totally nails it, man. God, things are getting so exciting, man. It's just the winning,
they are, man.
dude.
I know. I'm gonna skip to the bottom of the piece. Here's a white pill right here. Okay, take John Brennan for example. He is on the hook for perjury. While under oath before Congress, Brennan denied any knowledge of the Hillary-financed Christopher Steele dossier prior to December 2016. But that is not true. Look for Brennan to be taking the fifth and saying goodbye to his TV gig. This is only the beginning. Oh, man. I talked about this on Bots, Luke. And you know what? I've actually got some audio about this, some more recent audio. I played James Clapper's audio where he fully admits on Anderson Cooper that what had happened was that Obama directed them to stir up the intelligence investigation that led to Russiagate. In other words, what you and I have always said, that this is going to lead back to Obama. James Clapper admitted that it was Obama who initiated Spygate, right? Now, there's one way to read this, okay, that James Clapper is just defending himself and, he's just trying to show that he's truly a patriot and was standing up for the country. And I was really worried about Russia, not to mention that, the president told us to start this investigation. Oh, my God, what am I supposed to do? Disobey the president? So he's being defensive about it. Okay, yeah, that's one way to look at it. There's quite another way to look at it. He threw Obama's ass under the bus right then. He threw Obama under the bus. He's trying to get the attention away from him and focused on Obama. We've already seen all these contradictions between James Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Christopher Steele, all of them pointing at the fingers at each other. It's not my fault, it's his fault. I never wanted to start the Russia investigation. That was John Brennan's idea. Dude, watch these scumbags start to sell each other out, Luke. It's going to happen this week. Yeah, I guarantee you. Yeah. They are going to start betraying each other.
Yeah, they're going
this week,
fleeing like rats on a sinking ship.
Absolutely, man. That's exactly how I put it on Bots number 21. As a matter of fact.
Oh, yes. I didn't get to that part.
Yeah. This is going to be so good, dude.
I can't. It's going to be great. Yeah, Trump's talking about treason, and he named all those people you named. And I came across some interview that I watched last night, and it was Comey. And Trump explicitly named Comey. And it was actually funny. It was on Twitter, and it was like one video right after the next. And the first video was Comey in an interview with some shitlib that was like, well, what are you going to do if he gets reelected? And Comey's like, well, yeah, I'll be commenting on that from my new house in New Zealand.
Yeah, right.
And everyone started clapping and laughing. And he's like, no, I mean, I'm going to move to New Zealand if he gets reelected. And then the next tweet below that one, totally unrelated by somebody else, was Trump going, this is treason. You're looking at Comey, you're looking at and he named him. And I'm like, well, no wonder he's going to go to New Zealand.
I thought the same thing. You better do it before Trump gets reelected, bro. Just saying.
Yeah, seriously, man. You better get
you better start thinking about it soon. Yeah. Oh, man. So, and I kind of laid this out in Bots as well, but like here are the facts of the matter, okay? We don't know exactly who John Bull Durham and William Barr have talked to other than Italy, England, Australia, and maybe Ukraine, but we don't know that for sure. We don't know who they've interviewed here in the United States. We know that when Robert Mueller and and John Brennan were trying to put together their team of intelligence experts to go after the president, a lot of people turned them down for that request. That may be a logical starting place for where John Bull Durham and William Barr start interviewing people. But what we see now is now that it's a criminal investigation, that means they have evidence of criminality. What we're doing right now, Luke, is working up the food chain. Anybody who has not been interviewed by James Clapper and William Barr yet is in deep shit. It's in very deep shit. They've laid perjury traps for them, in other words, right? They're the ones, anybody not interviewed yet are the criminal suspects right now. That's all of those names that we just named, and Sally Yates, Susan Rice, Barack Hussein Obama himself, Joe Biden himself.
Yep.
All of these people.
Yep. And,
all of these people.
Yeah. And yeah, let's not forget Obama's still, staying away from Biden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Biden's not getting his donors like he did before.
Right.
He's begging for donors now at this point. And it's not just the higher ups that are going to get interviewed too. I think it's also interesting to point out that they're also going to start interviewing the underlings of the DOJ, the FBI, all these people. Well, guess what? The underlings are looking at the writing on the walls and they're thinking, well, okay, cool. I kind of went along with it before because those guys were in charge, but they're not in charge anymore. Trump's going to get reelected. Barr's not going anywhere. And I think these underlings are going to start looking out for themselves. They don't really have a vested interest in this point. They're just trying to they're just trying to not get fired and not get caught in a perjury trap at this point. So I think their allegiance is up for grabs at this point.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of the juicy details will come from people that you don't even know about. That's a total guess on my part. It's speculation, but I think it's worth mentioning that I think that that Barr is gonna not just do a top-down approach. He's gonna also do a bottom-up approach.
I think so too. Work up the food chain. I could not agree more, man. I could not agree more. I think that's exactly what's going on here. And oh man, just to think all those times I was critical of William Barr for not doing anything, man, these traps have been laid all along for the last 6 months, probably something like that. Dang, dude. It's just so good, dude. It's just so good. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
And I asked dear listener this rhetorically on Bots issue number 21. I want to get your take on it. Okay. Now, the case that I laid out is, let's say that Jeff Sessions was still Attorney General, and the New York Bar Association came out and demanded that he recuse himself from this case entirely because he was mentioned in the transcript of the conversation between Trump and Zelensky. They even go so far as to say if he does not recuse himself, he should be sanctioned and removed as Attorney General. Okay. Now, were Jeff Sessions in those circumstances, I think Jeff Sessions would recuse himself. My question to you, Luke, is now that the New York Bar Association is threatening to disbar, impeach, and sanction William Barr, do you think he'll recuse himself from this investigation?
I mean, my initial response is I don't know enough about how all of that works to give an educated opinion. But I mean, what is the real reason for him recusing himself other than a threat by the New York State Bar Association?
The reason that the New York State Bar Association is conjuring up this frankly stupid charge is that because William Barr was mentioned by Donald Trump in his conversation with Zelensky in Ukraine, and that this conversation is the text for the impeachment proceedings, because Barr was named by Donald Trump, he is a material witness in the impeachment case, and he should recuse himself from investigating the Russia probe. The beginnings of the Russia probe. Yeah, you see what it is there.
Yeah, but I mean, that's total BS. But the Russia probe is totally independent from the Ukraine thing.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with it.
That's exactly it. Unless the New York Bar Association is admitting that Russiagate and Ukrainegate are both the same thing, which is an operation against the president to overthrow the government. Unless they're tacitly admitting that, we have two separate cases here. You should recuse yourself from origins of the Russia probe, and because of what happened in Ukraine. It's just so stupid, dude.
Yeah, I'm predicting that's not going to go anywhere. But what did Trump? When Trump was talking to the auto parts king, what did he say to him?
The auto parts king?
Yeah, Zelensky.
Oh yeah, my bad. Sorry. The context of the conversation was good tidings and congratulations on being elected as president of Ukraine. Hope that we can work together.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, okay. And by the way, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to look into this Hunter Biden corruption.
Oh, and he was like, I can put you in touch with Barr. I remember that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing was, okay, we know that you have the CrowdStrike server, meaning the DNC email server there in Ukraine. We know you have it. Could you maybe hold on to it for us or maybe get it to us, And Zelensky promised his cooperation with the president. Now, this is the entire text for the impeachment proceedings because what they are arguing is that, number one, they are ignoring the fact that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden were in a pay-for-play for political influence for the vice president of the United States. This is directly provable. And as a subnote to this, one thing I forgot to mention in box number 21 is this. What did Rudy Giuliani say? He said, I can prove exactly how they laundered the money from Ukraine into the Hunter Biden bank account. It went this way. It went from Romania to Cyprus to Biden's account. And I've got the money trail for exactly how that money was laundered. What have we learned this week? We're starting to find out that there was corruption with Hunter and Joe Biden in Romania as well. Giuliani was right. He was 100% right. Okay? So back on point, though, what they're doing is ignoring this money laundering, this pay-for-play scam, which is illegal. It is a felony to do that, okay? They are instead spinning it in terms of what Donald Trump was doing was a quid pro quo, a pay-for-play. Listen, you know what? We want you to hold on to the Ukraine server, investigate Joe Biden, and in exchange for that, we're going to give you $150 million in military aid, okay? Completely false. Those incidents happened about 5 weeks apart.
Yeah.
The military aid deal and the transcript. That's what they're going for here. Okay.
Yeah.
And other developments. This is a little bit concerning, but I'm not too concerned. We know that John Bolton, former national security advisor, until Trump fired him a couple of weeks ago, is now talking to Adam Schiff and the impeachment inquisition. It's not an inquiry; it's an inquisition.
Yeah.
He is talking to them. It's unclear whether or not John Bolton will testify yet, but we do know that he is giving them information. So we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. It's not going to go anywhere. I'll tell you exactly where it shakes out. I had a perfect conversation with the president of Ukraine. He's right. It was a perfect conversation. There was nothing wrong. Done.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, hey, look into that. We think this, if you could do that, that'd be great. Almost as if to say like, and if not, no worries.
Yeah. That's exactly that. That was pretty much the context of it right there. It was a pretty laid back conversation, really, of just good tidings and hey, let's work together. Hey, I hear a couple of ideas of things we could work on. Now, I have heard one pretty legit criticism of it from our buddy in the UK. In Tunbridge Wells, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. He's going to be on the show here pretty quick, as a matter of fact. His criticism is this. There was no criminality here. There's nothing to be impeached for here, but I just wish that Trump wouldn't do these things himself. I wish he would use some of his staff to cover these types of topics in communication so that he always has plausible deniability. What you have right now is Trump literally saying those words himself. And if he does this too often, he's gonna step in it. And I think that's a legitimate criticism. But even in the criticism, we agreed upon the point that there's no criminality here. There's nothing to impeach.
Yeah, I mean, I see his point as well. But when you're going through mediums like that, you're tacitly admitting that you're doing something wrong, and then the left will go after that. Look, they're going to go after him no matter what. Anything he does, they're going to go after. They're going after him because he killed the leader of ISIS.
Right.
Literally anything he does, they will figure out a way to rationalize. They will figure out how to rationalize their way into criticizing him for it. So who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The more out in the open he does it, I actually disagree. He should not go through a medium because that tacitly, that would at least suggest that there's something worth covering up. Just do it.
Yeah.
Let the left get upset about it. Let them go on about it. This impeachment's going to cost them the election anyway. So not only is there no criminality, what our friend in Tunbridge Wells is saying, that it's a tactical error on Trump's part. I disagree. Fuel the impeachment. Keep the fire going all the way through to the election.
Fair point.
So I think it's actually a tactical win for Trump.
Yeah, I see your point, and I actually agree with you, but I totally agree with you, but I agree for another reason, and that is this: I don't think Trump is surrounded by sharks right now. I don't think that there's anybody that he could trust in his administration to make these types of communications.
Yeah,
right?
true.
I don't think he can,
because then it'll be somebody from within his own administration that's the whistleblower. That makes it even worse.
That's exactly it. Yeah,
and
it'll get leaked.
Yeah,
it'll get.
And
leaked.
I think what our friend is saying, I think what he's really saying is like, you make it so difficult for me to like you. That's what he's saying about Trump. He's like, God, he didn't do anything wrong per se, but he makes it so difficult for me to get behind him and like him and support him. And
yeah, that's pretty much his view.
And it's worth pointing out, it's not Trump doing that. It's the left. It's the media. It's all of these other things.
Right.
They are manufacturing these fake instances of conversations and things like this. They're just manufacturing outrage. I mean, we talked about this on a previous show about like how outrage is a currency that the left uses, and they've got outrage deflation going, or outrage inflation going on right now, because they just generate so much outrage that at a certain point nobody's outraged anymore because everything is an outrage. So let's just remind our audience here, and dear listener and everybody, that it's not Trump that does these things. It's the media blowing them up, taking nothing burgers and blowing them up into something. We wouldn't have even heard about this if it was Obama. I'm sure Obama did these things all the time, and same with Bush and everybody before him. This is people making something out of nothing. It's Much Ado About Nothing.
Yes.
Shakespeare even wrote.
I mean, yeah, just like the lynching comments, right? Like, I mean, first of all, Trump says this is a witch hunt and this is a lynching, right?
Oh my God, the president just said lynching. Oh my God.
So the left loses it, ignites, self-immolates their hair right immediately, right? Well, then, the other problem that happened right after that is that Lindsey Graham comes out. Well, I'm finding it hard to defend the president. I wish he hadn't used those words. Ted Cruz comes out and says this. Everybody comes out and says, I wish the president hadn't used the word lynching, to the point that there was nobody defending the president for saying the word lynching except for Rush Limbaugh and Luke and myself. Nobody defending him for it. And the thing that really gets to me, Luke, is it goes back to what we have said since episode number 1, and that is this: the right absolutely bought into the leftist frame, and now the word lynching is forbidden for someone on the right to use. The left can use it with impunity, but if somebody on the right says it because the right cucked to the leftist agenda, well, then we're going to be excoriated for it. It's unreal, man. Unreal.
Yeah, the reason Trump uses these words is because it forces you to have to even consider, is this a lynching? And you have any rational person has to admit to themselves, it's wrong, but I don't know that I'd call it a lynching. I mean, this is just framing on Trump's part,
It is.
If he'd have called it like, these are, legal accusations and we're just going to have to sort through this. If he'd have said that, then people would say, oh yeah, we're going to have to sort through this. These are accusations and that's not good, But when he calls it a lynching, he's just framing it so far to one end that then somebody has to go like, well, is it a lynching? No, it's not a lynching. It's something less serious than that. And then they settle on something in between like, oh yeah, it's complete bullshit, but not a lynching. You know what I mean? It's just a framing thing. That's all it is. It's a framing. It's a rhetorical tactic.
Yeah. And also I would say intentionally provocative. The president meant to use a shocking term to make everybody freak out about it.
Yeah, totally.
Then they're going to talk about it all the more,
Yeah.
So.
All right, man. What else we got in segment 1? I know we pushed the Barr topic up to segment 1. Do we want to push another topic to segment 2 or hit it now? I could go either way.
You know what? All right, so we did Baghdadi impeachment, and we did John Bull Durham and William Barr. We've only got 3 topics for segment 2. I mean, how about we break now? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, And now that I have OneNote in front of me, I've got a couple of other topics that are kind of hit and quit, but definitely worth talking about.
All right, yeah, that's good. You want to do it now, or you want to do it? You want to hit it in segment two? Segment 2 is going to be it's going to be white pilling and simple stuff.
Yeah, dude. Let's just blaze through segment 2 then. So we're doing good on time. If we break right now, we're good.
All right. Sounds good, man. All right. Well, dear listener, thank you so much for riding along halfway of these 58 miles along with Luke and myself. We're going to play some audio right now from the press conference this morning about the al-Baghdadi killing. We hope you enjoyed it. It's a little bit grisly, but deliberately so, as Luke and I have already said. Anyways, enjoy the president. We will be back at you before you know it.
Tonight, the United States brought the world's #1 terrorist leader to justice. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He was the founder and leader of ISIS, the most ruthless and violent terror organization anywhere in the world. The United States has been searching for Baghdadi for many years. Capturing or killing Baghdadi has been the top national security priority of my administration. U.S. Special Operations Forces executed a dangerous and daring nighttime raid in northwestern Syria and accomplished their mission in grand style. The U.S. personnel were incredible. I got to watch much of it. No personnel were lost in the operation, while a large number of Baghdadi's fighters and companions were killed with him. He died after running into a dead-end tunnel, whimpering and crying and screaming all the way. The compound had been cleared by this time, with people either surrendering or being shot and killed. 11 young children were moved out of the house and are uninjured. The only ones remaining were Baghdadi in the tunnel, and he had dragged 3 of his young children with him. They were led to certain death. He reached the end of the tunnel as our dogs chased him down. He ignited his vest, killing himself and the 3 children. His body was mutilated by the blast. The tunnel had caved in on it in addition. But test results gave certain, immediate, and totally positive identification. It was him. The thug who tried so hard to intimidate others spent his last moments in utter fear, in total panic and dread, terrified of the American forces bearing down on him. We were in the compound for approximately 2 hours, and after the mission was accomplished, we took highly sensitive material and information from the raid, much having to do with ISIS, origins, future plans, things that we very much want. Baghdadi's demise demonstrates America's relentless pursuit of terrorist leaders and our commitment to the enduring and total defeat of ISIS and other terrorist organizations. Our reach is very long. As you know, last month we announced that we recently killed Hamza bin Laden, the very violent son of Osama bin Laden, who was saying very bad things about people, about our country, about the world. He was the heir apparent to al-Qaeda, terrorists who oppress and murder innocent people should never sleep soundly, knowing that we will completely destroy them. These savage monsters will not escape their fate, and they will not escape the final judgment of God. Baghdadi has been on the run for many years, long before I took office. but at my direction as Commander-in-Chief of the United States, we obliterated his caliphate 100% in March of this year. Today's events are another reminder that we will continue to pursue the remaining ISIS terrorists to their brutal end. That also goes for other terrorist organizations. They are likewise in our sights. Baghdadi and the losers who worked for him, and losers they are, they had no idea what they were getting into. In some cases, they were very frightened puppies. In other cases, they were hardcore killers. But they killed many, many people. Their murder of innocent Americans, James Foley, Stephen Sotloff, Peter Kasich, and Kayla Mueller, were especially heinous. The shocking publicized murder of Jordanian pilot, a wonderful young man, spoke to the king of Jordan. They all knew him. They all loved him. He was burned alive in a cage for all to see on the execution of Christians in Libya and Egypt, as well as the genocidal mass murder of Yazidis, rank ISIS among the most depraved organizations the history of our world. The forced religious conversions, the orange suits prior to so many beheadings, all of which were openly displayed for the world to see. This was all that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, this is what he wanted. This is what he was proud of. He was a sick and depraved man, and now he's gone. Baghdadi was vicious and violent, and he died in a vicious and violent way as a coward, running and crying. This raid was impeccable and could only have taken place with the acknowledgement and help of certain other nations and people. I want to thank the nations of Russia, Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, and I also want to thank the Syrian Kurds for certain support they were able to give us. This was a very, very dangerous mission. Thank you as well to the great intelligence professionals who helped make this very successful journey possible. I want to thank the soldiers and sailors, airmen, and Marines involved in last night's operation. You are the very best there is anywhere in the world. No matter where you go, there is nobody even close. I want to thank General Mark Milley and our Joint Chiefs of Staff. And I also want to thank our professionals who work in other agencies of the United States government and were critical to the mission's unbelievable success. Last night was a great night for the United States and for the world. A brutal killer, one who has caused so much hardship and death, has violently been eliminated. He will never again harm another innocent man, woman, or child. He died like a dog. He died like a coward. The world is now a much safer place. God bless America. Thank you. Any questions?
When did you first hear about that this was an operation was going to get started?
We've had him under surveillance for a couple of weeks. We knew a little bit about where he was going, where he was heading. We had very good information that he was going to another location. He didn't go. 2 or 3 efforts were canceled because he decided to change his mind, constantly changing his mind. And finally, we saw that he was here, held up here. We knew something about the compound. We knew it had tunnels. The tunnels were dead end for the most part. There was one we think that wasn't, but we had that covered too, just in case. The level of intelligence, the level of work was pretty amazing. When we landed with 8 helicopters, a large crew of brilliant fighters ran out of those helicopters and blew holes into the side of the building, not wanting to go through the main door because that was booby-trapped. And it was something really amazing to see. I got to watch it along with General Milley, Vice President Pence, others in the Situation Room. And we watched it so clearly.
How did you watch it?
Well, I don't want to say how, but we had absolutely perfect, as though you were watching a movie. It was that in it, the technology there alone is really great. A big part of the trip that was of great danger was it was approximately an hour and 10-minute flight, and we were flying over very, very dangerous territory. In fact, some of our leaders said that could be the most dangerous, flying in and flying out. And that's why last night we were so quiet about it. We didn't say anything, and I didn't make my remark until after they had landed safely in a certain area. But the flight in, the flight out was a very, very dangerous part. There was a chance that we would have met unbelievable fire. Russia treated us great. They opened up. We had to fly over certain Russia areas, Russia-held areas. Russia was great. Iraq was excellent. We really had great cooperation. And you have to understand, they didn't know what we were doing and where we were going exactly. But the ISIS fighters are hated as much by Russia and some of these other countries as they are by us. And that's why I say they should start doing a lot of the fighting now, and they'll be able to. I really believe they'll be able to. Yes, Jennifer?
Can you say what role the Kurds played in this, just generally?
They gave us not a military role at all, but they gave us some information that turned out to be helpful, the Kurds.
And can you tell us what the role of Turkey might have been in Iraq?
Who?
What was the role of Turkey? How did they help?
Turkey, we dealt with them. They know we were going in. We flew over some territory. They were terrific, no problem. They were not problem. You know, they could start shooting, and then we will take them out, but a lot of bad things can happen. Plus, it was a very secret mission. We flew very, very low and very, very fast. But it was a very dangerous part of the mission. Getting in and getting out, too, equal. We went in identical, we took an identical route. We met with gunfire coming in, but it was local gunfire. That gunfire was immediately terminated. These people are amazing. They had the gunfire terminated immediately, meaning they were shot from the airships.
I'm trying to understand the timing. You talked earlier, several weeks about pulling troops out, and then troops were put back in, and then, I'm trying to understand the timing of when this operation...
Well, I'll tell you, from the first day I came to office, and now we're getting close to 3 years, I would say, where's al-Baghdadi? I want al-Baghdadi. And we would kill terrorist leaders, but they were names I never heard of. They were names that weren't recognizable, and they weren't the big names. Some good ones, some important ones, but they weren't the big names. I kept saying, where's al-Baghdadi? And a couple of weeks ago, they were able to scope him out. These people are very smart. They're not into the use of cell phones anymore. They're very technically brilliant. They use the internet better than almost anybody in the world, perhaps other than Donald Trump. But they use the internet incredibly well. And what they've done with the internet through recruiting and everything, and that's why he died like a dog. He died like a coward. He was whimpering, screaming, and crying. And frankly, I think it's something that should be brought out so that his followers and all of these young kids that want to leave various countries, including the United States, they should see how he died. He didn't die a hero. He died a coward. crying, whimpering, screaming, and bringing 3 kids with him to die, certain death. And he knew the tunnel had no end. I mean, it was a closed end. They call it a closed end tunnel. Not a good place to be.
So this was going on before you made the announcement that you're...
I've been looking for him for 3 years. I've been looking for him. I started getting some very positive feedback about a month ago. And we had some incredible intelligence officials that did a great job. That's what they should be focused on.
About what time did this operation start yesterday, sir? And have you notified?
Well, this operation started 2 weeks ago in terms of the real operation because we had him scoped. We thought he'd be in a certain location. He was. Things started checking out very well. We were involved on our own team with some brilliant people who I've gotten to know, brilliant people that love our country, highly intelligent people. And we've had it pretty well scoped out for a couple of weeks. But he tends to change immediately. He had a lot of cash. He tends to change like on a dime, where he'll be going to a certain location, all of a sudden he'll go someplace else, and you'll have to cancel. But this was one where we knew he was there, and you can never be 100% sure because you're basing it on technology more than anything else. But we thought he was there. And then we got a confirmation. And when we went in, they were greeted with a lot of firepower, I'll tell you, these guys, they do a job. They are so brave and so good. And so importantly, many of his people were killed. And we'll announce the exact number over the next 24 hours. But many were killed. We lost nobody. Think of that. It's incredible.
Welcome back to HSP episode number 58. Luke and Russ here with you, dear listener, and we are moving on into segment 2. Russ, do you know what I just did that I forgot to do? One of our many sacred pre-show rituals.
Oh, dang.
And I had forgotten to do it. I just noticed.
Turn on your on-air light. Is that what it is?
That's it.
Oh, man. Yep. Oh, well, we're lucky. We're having a good show anyway, man. So
yeah,
we're good. We're good. So.
Yeah, I looked up about 3/4 of the way through that segment and it wasn't on. I was like, oh, God, keep it together. Keep it together.
I'm glad you caught it, man. Saved,
indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, and dear listener,
go ahead.
We would be remiss not to acknowledge. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it, man. Go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we would be remiss not to acknowledge that we've been a little bit absent the last couple of weeks. And, it just... a lot of traveling on my end. Russ was sick. We went to the Trump rally. I was seeing family, did a cruise, or traveling back to Germany. Jessica got sick. So I've been, taking care of everything around the house for the last several days. And, don't want to make too many excuses, but, we were not, that is not normal for us. So we apologize if we kept anybody hanging, and we are back in the set. I'm in Germany with my set. And this is the other thing too, is that, it was on a different rig. So it required a lot more editing and setup time and planning. And, when I'm here with my rig and Russ is there with his, it's very, very easy, and we can just record and knock content out. So we are officially back on our schedule after, I think I saw on SoundCloud when I posted the episode 57 last night, it had been 26 days since we had posted something. So
Dang.
We almost hit a month with no content. So we apologize about that, dear listener. We are back on schedule, back in the saddle, and excited to be throwing down a whole bunch of content, and I can't wait. In fact, Russ, I sat down last night and planned out my first episode of season 2 of CLS, and I've got like five episodes already jotted down. So.
All right, man. I can't wait.
Yeah.
That is white pilling as hell. I cannot wait for those, man. That's my favorite shit on the internet, for real. It is. It is.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to pick that up this week as well. So
good. Yeah, we're going to be blasting the content. We're going to have another show coming down the pipe for you as well. We don't know exactly when. We're still working on details. We've been doing it for quite some time, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I will be faithful to bots going forward. I've been slack as well, dear listener. I've just been working a lot. I mean, I'm not going to sit around and cry about it, but I've just been working. That's it. And it's also been, Luke and I have, because Luke's got his stuff going on and my stuff going on as well. It's been trouble for Luke and I to meet. You know what I mean? To find a time. Okay, can you record then? No, I can't do it. Right. So it's not just the individual stuff we've had going on. It's been hard for us to get together and work things out. You know what I mean? Because there's just been a lot going on. But 26 days though, man, dang, that's a long time. I mean, to be fair, we recorded 57 the night before the Trump rally. And posted it late once again because we couldn't circle up and, swap audio files and all that kind of stuff. It was difficult, but we're back in the saddle. We're back in our own respective saddles at this point is what's going on. So we'll be good.
Right.
Yeah, we'll be good. So yeah.
So anyways, speaking of the Trump rally, that's a good segue.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me your thoughts, man. Tell dear listener your thoughts, actually.
Well, I didn't know what to expect going into it. I saw Trump doing the rally and I pretty much immediately, he announced it right when Jessica and I got to the US, maybe a little bit. Yeah. We went to the cruise on, I don't know, it was like October 6th. Then he announced it like a few days before that. So I guess we had already been in the States for like a week, but, I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of excited about it, but, I thought it was just going to be waiting in a bunch of lines, piling into a stadium, listening to Trump. Trump would say a couple funny and outlandish things, and then we would leave and go somewhere and grab a beer and stay in a hotel. And then we'd come back to our undisclosed location the following morning. But it didn't turn out that way at all. In fact, it was incredibly hectic. Jessica and I had something come up that morning. We got there like in the nick of time. This police officer barely let. In fact, I felt kind of bad because Jessica and I cut in front of this huge line, which that's the first thing that I noticed, Russ, was the excitement. It was that particular event, that Trump rally, and they're all like this, I would assume, was the sense of kinship and strangely like brotherhood and just being there with your fellow man and everyone's so embarrassed to support Trump and they're so low key about it. And then suddenly it's just like, boom, mega hats everywhere, mega this, mega that, girls like wearing decorated coveralls or overalls. And, one girl had this like full bodied mega dress, and people just going nuts. And I was like, it took a minute for it to sink in. At first I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy. And then like the more I looked around and the more I kind of got into the vibe of it all, I was like, this is so much fun. This is awesome. Yeah. I am so glad to be here. And the line went out. The line started at the beginning of the stadium and it snaked like 7 or 8 times in the plaza. And so that snaking line was the plaza's how long, Russ? Like 300 or 400 yards?
50 yards. Yeah.
No, it's way more than that, dude.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it is.
I don't know, maybe
100 yards?
Yeah, maybe 100 yards. Yeah. I'm like, I always think about it in terms of like, what's 100, how far away is a 100-yard target? And it's actually much closer than you think. But, we'll call it 100 yards. It snaked like 7 or 8 times. Then the line went
separate sides. Yeah.
And then the line went down the steps of the plaza into the street, then snaked back and forth the entire block of the street in front. Then the line went up another street for a block and snaked back and forth there. Then it went up to the next street over and snaked back and forth there. Then circled that block like 4 times because there's nowhere else to snake. And it was just. It was insane, dude. It was so much fun. Yeah. The energy level was so high. And then when we got in there, I mean, then that's when it became comically fun. That's when, it's like an hour before Trump's even supposed to start speaking and they're playing Macho Man and everybody has their Trump signs and it's like Macho Man and everyone's like shaking their Trump signs back and forth and like, jumping.
Drill team routines are being created in the stands in real time.
Yeah, like people are lifting their signs up and down with the music, and then like the people on the other side of the stadium would then mirror them.
Yeah,
and it was so much fun to watch. The people watching was top tier, and you could not be there and be in a bad mood. You know, that's the thing, is like you look at Bush speak, or God forbid Romney, and you know, there's just something about it where you're just like, you know, this is interesting seeing the president speak, and, you know, it's kind of honorable to be here. And then you leave and you're like, yeah, you know, that was pretty cool. But this was like, you could not, like, the energy level was so much higher even before Trump ever even came out. And the last thing I'll just say here is that he packed that stadium, packed it.
Yeah.
Just every available seat was filled in that entire, and,
yeah.
And Trump was like, yeah, the fire marshal, you know, I really wish he'd let me fill in this little area down here on the floor. And he like pointed to this little small area, but, you know, they couldn't let anybody in there because the fire marshal is hilarious.
Yeah.
And it was just,
yeah, man. It was electric.
Yeah, it was like if you're high energy. I never thought I'd be at an event that was had more camaraderie and sense of kinship, even more so than a midnight yell. But that the Trump rally eclipsed that in terms of energy level.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, man. And like, you know, the president finishes speaking, you know, and we will make America great again. Thank you, Dallas. Thank you, Texas. Good night. When he does all that, everybody yelling, and we will make America great again with him. Everybody stayed until the president walked around and applauded the audience and all that kind of stuff. And then the president left. The music ends. It's time to leave. And everybody is just sat there in the stand still, giving each other high fives. Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. Dude. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everybody talking on the way out about how great it was, how they can't wait to get to the next one, all this kind of stuff. I mean, dear listener, I've watched, I think, every single rally on RSBN until they got wiped out by YouTube. Their YouTube channel got canceled. So I've been watching on Fox 10 Phoenix because I like the comments. I like to watch the comments in the margin. You know what I mean? Because they're funny, you know? And I think I've seen every single one of them, and they're all high energy. Luke and I watched rally number 1 together the weekend after he announced that he was running for president. He had an announcement or had a rally that weekend, and we caught it, drank some beer and watched it. We're agape at the things he was saying and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, my point is this: I don't want to get lost in the weeds. It is one thing to watch the president on television speak and get high energy about it. It is quite another thing to be there in his presence and watch him do it and experience it with all of these other fellow compatriots, patriots who love this country, love this president. That's a totally different thing. And I'm like Luke. I didn't know what to expect. I did not expect that.
That's what surprised me the most, was how much fun it was.
Yeah. So
you just couldn't leave there being in a bad mood. And like the kids, there were young teenage boys there. And afterwards they stopped us and they were like, sir, would you mind taking a picture of us? And they're all wearing their mega hats. They're probably like 14, 15 years old. They probably rode the bus there, rode their bikes there or something, you know? And they might actually be listening to the show. What's up? What's up, dudes? Yeah. Because we gave them our card.
Yeah, they may be. Yeah, they may be. So, yeah, we did. We met a lot of new dear listeners that are now riders on this trail. Dear listener at large, that is a fact. We met a bunch of people. I mean, I got there at about like 8 a.m, right? Luke and I didn't get into the stadium until about 5 o'clock that night, and just being in the crowd was so much fun. Like the music people were listening to, the stuff people were talking about. And that's another thing I noticed. Everybody writes Trump supporters off as these dumb racist hicks. You know, don't know anything that's going on. No, all races represented. I talked to numerous African Americans, numerous Hispanics. They were everywhere. You know, numerous white people, numerous Asians, all races, numerous Indian Americans, all over the place, right? And the other thing that I found really interesting is you start talking politics with these people in the crowd, they know what's going on. They don't know. I mean, not like Luke and I do. I mean, to be fair, I mean, not like we do, but they know the news stories. They know how to think about it. They don't study it the same way that Luke and I do, but they know exactly what is going on in our country right now, and they're pretty disgusted by it. And the intelligence level of the crowd is what I want to say. It blew me away. Those people are not dumb redneck hicks. They are really smart people that are with it. They keep their finger on the pulse of everything going on in politics. That really blew me away. But man, just, oh God, dude, I'm going to, everybody's, saying the number being bandied about is that 20,000 got in. Okay. I'm going to say probably more like 25,000 got in. They're saying the crowd size outside the line in total before they started letting people in was 50,000. Man, I'm going to go way north of that. I'm going to say that they were somewhere between 60 and 65,000 people trying to get into that arena. And speaking of Daniel-san, sorry you couldn't get in, bro. Luke and I missed you, man. Really wish you could have been there. That would have been fantastic, So, yeah. I don't even know what else to say. It was just the most high energy. It's the greatest event I've ever been to. Like I said in bots number 21, it's the greatest event I've ever been to. And, wow. And I can't wait to go to the next. But, and also to Luke's point about this, about how you can't leave there in a bad mood. That is 100% true. Now, I had been there in line since 8 o'clock in the morning. We finally sat down. I did not sit down all day until about 5 o'clock. Okay. And all kinds of things happened. I had to run out to the car, take the camera gear out to the car, ditch it, right, run back to get my place in line back, and I was dogged tired by the time we got inside and finally sat down. I mean, I was exhausted, right? But the energy just kept building up and building up and building up and building up, right? And I was so high energy before the president ever even came out. And so, yeah, it was just fantastic. That's all there is to it. Just pure fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. It was impossible to be in a bad mood and be low energy.
Yeah, it sure was, man.
It was cool. You could see vets, wearing their veterans clothing and whatnot, like their hats and stuff. And you could just see how, like, the sense of approval that they had for when he was talking about foreign policy and getting our troops out of Syria, and they were just like, yep, yes, sir, and yelling and this sort of thing, and just, it was just awesome. It was so much fun, and I am so glad I went. And dear listener, if you ever have the opportunity to go to a Trump rally, just do it. Show up at 8 a.m. if you have to. Camp out the night before. It'll be fun. Even waiting in line will be fun. It's basically a tailgate. They have food trucks, merch tables everywhere, tons and thousands of people. Just go. Make a whole event of it. You can do what you got to do. Just go.
Yeah.
It will be worth it. I promise you.
Yeah. I got home that night and I made out a list in OneNote of advice I would give to people wanting to go to a rally. And I'm not going to go through the whole list, but number 1, get there early. Number 2, go with a squad. Okay. Don't go by yourself. You're going to make friends in the line and all that kind of stuff. And they'll do things like hold your place while you go use the bathroom or whatever it is you have to do, go get some food. But it's much better, I would say, if you've got a group of about 5 to 10 people with you, right? That way people can make missions, go get food for people, go take things back to the car, pick things up from the car. That really is my advice, is try to go in numbers if you can. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, you're still going to make friends in line and all that kind of stuff, but it's better if you have your own crew with you, I would say. So...
Dude, you should write that up and put it on the website.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I've got it all written down, dude. I got home that night at about like midnight or something like that, and I could not sleep. So I'm just like, I just stayed up writing until like 3 a.m. Something like that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, let's put that up on the website as an article.
That's a great idea. Okay, I'll do it. So, yeah, it's already halfway done right now. It's kind of messy, but I can clean it up, I think. So, yeah. But like one thing that you just mentioned that I really want to speak to, the case that the president made about bringing our troops home from Syria and how all of the veterans agreed with him unanimously in the crowd, right? There was not one cuck among them saying, oh no, we need to take care of our Kurdish allies and all that kind of stuff. No. And I think the president made the case beautifully, eloquently, smartly. And Luke, I think of everything that he said, except for saying like, when he mentioned Dallas or Texas or come and take it, outside of those Texas types of things that the president said and, telling the story about the Texas martyrs and all that kind of stuff, I think that got the strongest crowd response of anything that I could hear at the end of when he made the case for bringing our troops home. You know what I mean? Like everybody was all about that. Despite what polling tells you, despite what politicians are telling you, everybody was all about that point. It seemed to me. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard to say what the largest crowd response. I personally think the largest crowd response was when he first came out.
Yeah,
just
sure.
walking out.
Yeah,
that was when you were like, oh my God. I don't think honestly ever in my entire life have I ever heard a crowd that loud before.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. Yeah,
because it was just screaming, everybody screaming, and then it was like. And then it would morphed into USA, and then more screaming, and then and this went on for like 5 minutes straight.
Yeah, it did.
At least 5 minutes. It was so, it was, and you just, it just made you so glad to be there. So awesome.
Yeah. Proud to be an American. No pun intended while the track is playing. Proud to be an American. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so.
I mean, Obama would never play that. Well, he wouldn't do a rally anyway, but he would never play "Proud to be an American."
Right. And if he did a rally, man, this is another thing I think the left is starting to get. These crowd sizes and this crowd enthusiasm is at this point officially undeniable. They don't have a dog in the race that can draw this kind of crowd or this much good cheer and enthusiasm, including Michelle Obama, including the Messiah himself, Barack Hussein Obama. He couldn't do that. He couldn't do it. And I think the left is starting to get that, So, so white pilling, man.
And the more they realize that their days are numbered, the more vicious and disgusting their tactics will become.
That is correct. And that actually is a perfect segue into our next topic. You want to go ahead and do it now? You got anything else to say about the Trump rally?
No, let's do it.
All right. So getting right into it, speaking of viciousness and the attacks of the left, this catfight going on between Hillary Clinton and Tulsi Gabbard has been pretty entertaining to watch. Speaking of disgusting tactics, Hillary literally came out on a podcast and called Jill Stein a Russian asset and said basically that Tulsi Gabbard is also a Russian agent and that she's the favorite of Russia. There we go. Hillary going out and peddling this Russian fan fiction again, right? Well, Tulsi got back in the saddle and shot her down and called her, what was it? The Queen of Evil or the Queen of, I can't remember what it was. I've got those tweets.
I think it was corruption.
Yeah, Queen of Corruption. That's it. The Queen of Corruption. We've had detractors in my campaign that have been spying on us, that have been all kinds of stuff, conspiring against the campaign. And I'm glad that you came out of the woodwork and called me a Russian agent because now we know who it was. It was you, Hillary Clinton, through your proxies, all of your people coming and attacking my campaign. Now we know it's you. Well, just like Luke said, their viciousness will increase. It will become even more just rabid dog-like. But boy, it is going to backfire as it always does, as it just backfired on Hillary Clinton because Tulsi Gabbard got a significant boost in the polls from her shouting down Hillary Clinton. Do you know anything about that polling data, Luke? I've seen it, but I don't remember it. I can't remember it. So.
No, I don't know about I'm familiar with everything that you just talked about, but not the polling data.
Yeah. She got like once she sent that tweet, the next day she had like a 5% boost, right? And I think she's picked up another 5 in the ensuing weeks since that happened, right? And frankly, that makes sense to me because Tulsi Gabbard, I like Tulsi Gabbard a lot, a whole lot, but she's a gun grabber. She's an anti-Trumper. There are lots of leftist things about Tulsi Gabbard that I just can't stomach, right? But she's by far the most interesting candidate they have in that field of candidates right now. By far she is, the smartest, I would say, the most electable. But that said, in my estimation, Luke, and I kind of want to hear your thoughts on this too, there's no way she can get the Democrat nomination. Absolutely no.
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's how I see it too.
No, she'll get cucked out of that for sure.
Yeah. That's how I see it too. So, yeah. It's unfortunate, So, I don't really have too much else to say about Tulsi Gabbard except for one thing. One really interesting development happened last week, and that is this, dear listener. Tulsi Gabbard announced that she is not going to run again for her congressional seat. Well, what does this mean? What's going on? What's that all about? That means that she is all in for the presidential election. All in. Okay? That means, I'm guessing, okay, and I'm not alone in this. There are several other people that are guessing the same. She is going to run as a third-party candidate if she doesn't get the nomination, which she will not get the nomination. She won't get it. So what I'm looking at right now is Tulsi jumping into the field as a third-party candidate after the Democrat convention. What do you think, Luke? Does that make sense to you? You think that's what will happen?
Yeah, I agree entirely.
Yeah, crazy, man. So what does that mean, do you think? What do you think that means? I mean, like, how does it affect the election if she runs third party?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. When I was flying back home from Frankfurt, flying from Frankfurt to Houston to Frankfurt, and I was watching this Bush documentary, Bush 41 documentary, and the interviewer goes, "Well, so what are your thoughts? What do you think about Ross Perot?" And he was like, "I don't want to talk about him." He's like, he goes, "Well, I'll say this. I think he cost me election. I think he cost me the election, and I don't like him." And that's all he's like, and that's all I'm gonna say. And I think that's exactly what Tulsi Gabbard's gonna do to whomever on the left gets the Democratic nomination.
Yeah, I agree.
Presumably Joe Biden.
Yeah. At this point, I still think it's Joe Biden. Although, very interestingly, George Soros on Friday came out and endorsed Elizabeth Warren, said that she is the candidate to beat in this field. So she's got George Soros's support, probably financial support as well as endorsement. But I think right now you're right. It's still probably Joe Biden. What do you think? How do you think Tulsi Gabbard affects Trump in the election? How do you think that's going to go?
I think she'll take some votes for Trump, but I think the votes that she'll take for Trump are, and this is the good thing about Trump, is that, well, I'll say this first. I think she'll take the people who will hold their nose and vote for Trump.
Yeah.
But the good thing about Trump is that he's so polarizing that the kind of people who would hold their nose and vote for him are not very many.
That's right.
They're very few. Meanwhile, on the left, there's tons of those kinds of people. And those are all of the people who are going to vote for Tulsi Gabbard. They're going to go, "Oh, thank God I've got an alternative here." Because they were sitting there going, "Do I hold my nose or do I not vote at all?"
Right.
And neither one of those are good alternatives. Tulsi Gabbard is a good alternative. She's a very attractive alternative to these kinds of voters.
Yes.
And there's not very many of those kinds of people on Trump's side because he's so polarizing.
That's right.
But they are all over on the left side, and she's going to suck them up like a Dyson vacuum cleaner.
The God tier vacuum cleaner, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah. I think you're 100% correct. She does much more damage to the Democrat candidate than she does to Trump. There is one thing that I'm concerned about, though, and that is this. I have been content for Tulsi to not get the nomination because of this. I think that kind of like Bernie Sanders in a lot of ways could really bring it to Trump. I think Tulsi Gabbard could really bring it to Trump in terms of rhetoric and on the debate stage. That concerns me a little bit. I mean, she just destroyed Hillary Clinton, dude, with a couple tweets. Absolutely destroyed her. I think that she has the capability of doing that. Now, will she do that to Trump? No, she won't. Trump won't let that happen. He'll BTFO her if she does that. But I think, yeah.
I think she's angry at the left. I don't think she's angry at the right.
She hates Trump, but I agree with you. I don't think she's angry at the right,
Yeah, she hates Trump, but she's angry towards the left.
Yeah, that's true.
Because even as a third-party candidate, she's going to have to admit to herself that she's probably not going to get elected. And think about what the motivation is to run as a third-party candidate. First of all, it's going to be expensive. Second of all, once she goes third party, she's never going to, she's burning that bridge with the left at that point, because everyone's going to go, "You cost the left the election." And then she is going to bear all of the blame. She's going to carry all the blame for why the left didn't win. Before it was, Hillary's not electable and everybody turned on Hillary. Well, now she's going to be the whipping boy of the left, and they're all going to turn on her. They're going to use her as the reason why Joe Biden lost the election, or Elizabeth Warren, or insert unelectable candidate here. And so they're going to use her. So she has to know this. So you think about, well, then what is her motivation? Well, it must be driven out of anger. It must be driven out of spite, out of dishonesty on behalf of the left, the mainstream left. That has to be her motivation. I can't imagine what other. She's not going to get elected. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Tucker Carlson has had her on his show a few times, and she has absolutely excoriated the left in all of those interviews. Unanimously, she excoriates them, as well as Donald Trump, But I mean, and it just occurred to me, really the one issue that Tulsi Gabbard brought it to President Trump about was pulling our troops out of Syria. And, oh my God, our Kurdish allies, this is horrible. This is the worst mistake we ever could have made. And I know, because I serve in the United States military. I know how bad this is, better than anybody else. Well, now we have this massive outbreak of peace in Syria. She doesn't have her one issue to take at Trump anymore. She doesn't have it. Trump was right, and he won on that issue, and it took all of 10 days' time before it was over, So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm glad you brought up Kurdish, because I want to mention this like very, very quickly. I don't want to talk about this any longer than we have to. I mean, dear listeners, go look up Kurdistan on a map. Most of it is already in Turkey. Yeah. Like Syria, it makes up such a small, little, insignificant area of Kurdistan that it's like, the idea that, we're going to defend the Kurds against the Turks when most of Kurdistan is already in Turkey. It's already Turkish Kurdish territory. Most of Kurdistan. Yeah. What are we spilling our own blood for here? It's nothing. This is again, going back to what we talked about in the first segment. This is a manufactured outrage crisis that the left has done, that they've created out of nothing.
And the right, to be fair, Lindsey Graham and all of them too, So,
they bought into it hook, line, and sinker. Sure. This is, the failed shit test. We said that on the last show too. Again, they just is just constantly capitulating and buying into the left's frame. They just do this constantly, hook, line, and sinker.
Yes, they do. Yeah, it's so entertaining, dude. It's great. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we've got 23 minutes left before I got to roll. So
all right,
let's move on.
All right. There's not much else to say about Tulsi Gabbard, but man, what you think about this is kind of the last topic of the show, man. What do you think about Pierre Delecto? What do you think about this?
Pierre Delecto.
Say it again, please. Can you say
Pierre
it like
Delecto.
That? Say it again, please.
Pierre Delecto.
Good, man. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to try to get that pronunciation down. That's pretty good.
We have to do it in like some romantic Italian voice. Yeah. I don't know if I can do that though. Pierre Delecto.
Pierre Delecto.
I'll work on it.
Pierre Delecto.
Oh, God. Okay. So basic facts on the ground are these, dear listener. You've probably already heard about it, but just in case you haven't, Mitt Romney was totally busted, found to have this false sock puppet account on Twitter that went under the name Pierre Delecto and was an account that exclusively was used to shout down President Trump and defend President Romney. And it turns out that it was him the whole time doing this.
But didn't he actually put his name as the @ name? And Pierre Delecto was just the...
That I don't know about. I'm not sure.
I thought it was like he was doing it out in the open.
Huh. No, it was definitely incognito. I know that, but we can't tell this anymore because it went private. You know what I mean? As soon as the reports came out, it went immediately private, thereby implicitly proving that it was indeed Mitt Romney. So, yeah.
Sono Pierre Delecto. That means I am Pierre Delecto in Italian.
Yeah. God. Man, and as numerous people have already said, it's kind of like this really disgusting name when you stop and think about what that means, like Delectable
it's
Peter.
Like he's been, yes, last night he was hanging out with Carlos Danger.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. It was not under Mitt Romney's name. The handle is QAWS9876 at QAWS9876 was what the real handle was.
Well, how did he get busted with this?
Oh man, this is so stupid. Okay, so he was talking in an interview to Atlantic Magazine, right? And he's what he's doing here is he's trying to curry favor with leftist media outlets, and he's trying to get down with the left. He's trying to be popular with the left, right? So he
because he's a leftist.
Because he's a leftist, yeah, and he's an anti-never Trumper, So he sat down for an interview with the Atlantic Monthly magazine, and tried to paint himself out, and I'm just so cool, Yeah, I'm hip. Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I got an account here that I use, and he opens up his iPad, and I'm not going to tell you what the name is, but I've got a Twitter account because I'm cool. I'm on Twitter, right? Well, like within 1 hour after the ink dried on that article, Slate magazine came out and said, "Oh yeah, okay, here's the secret internet account. It's Pierre Delecto."
Was it an interview with Slate?
No, it was an interview. Go ahead.
How did Slate find that out though?
They used deductive reasoning to find it out. That was what it was. And when they published their piece about it, and I think I have that somewhere, they were just asking questions. They didn't come out and say, okay, yeah, Pierre Delecto is Mitt Romney, or Mitt Romney's sock puppy account is Pierre Delecto. They're like, well, this account is really curious. It's got, it's following 600 something people. It's got like about 100 followers. And all this account ever does is blast Trump and defend Mitt Romney. It's definitely a sock account. We think this is the Mitt Romney account, but I don't know. Who knows? Well, as soon as they published that and it got spun out of control in the media everywhere, that account immediately went private. And I would say that is the proof that it was indeed Mitt Romney. It was him. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
What an idiot, dude. I mean, let me tell you, okay, for operational security on Twitter, dear listener, number one, okay, if you have a sock puppy account, don't ever tell anybody that you have a sock puppy account. Don't ever do that. That's OPSEC number one, okay? That's OPSEC 101 right there, okay? Oh, what a dumbass. It's the type of thing, man. His polling numbers shot down in Utah itself. He was up around 56% approval rating. Within days, it shot down to 47% approval rating, 53% strong disapproval in his home state of Utah. Man, he might have really stepped in it this time, and he has gone mysteriously, conspicuously quiet since the Pierre Delecto scandal. He's been really quiet. He's just hoping against all hell that this blows over. It's not gonna, man. Nothing disappears from the internet, bro.
That's right, dude. This is what happens when boomers try to use Twitter, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, it is. We love our boomers. But yeah, it is. That's what happens. So, yeah.
That's so good. I love it.
I do too, man. I'm really surprised. Go ahead.
It's just so funny, man. It just, before Trump, everybody was in their nice little comfortable role that they played, and nothing exciting ever happened. And it was just all the time, it was just, business as usual for everybody. And Trump has just totally destroyed all that for everyone. Yes. And now people are scrambling for attention and, trying to do things they don't normally do because they don't know what to do because this has never happened before. And it's just constant missteps on behalf of everybody everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's so funny.
Absolutely. Yeah. By presidential candidates on the left, by the deep state. Nobody can handle him. He is just a force of nature. Nobody knows what to do with him. And they hate him for it. But look, you really raise a salient point because, dear listeners, we've told you numerous times on this trail in these hallowed halls, right? Luke and I began our political discourse a long, long time ago before Trump ever even happened. And Luke and I were so disgusted by what was going on in American politics. We were literally talking about dude, let's get a boat and just get out of here, dude, go live on the boat. We actually watched boating YouTube videos to like learn about boating and stuff like this because we were serious about it, right? That was ancient history. That was a completely different political era. And Luke, you're absolutely right. You can measure the difference in politics. I mean, it's like before Trump presidency politics and after Trump presidency politics, right? And it's going to take 100 years for it to get back the way it was in 2013, 2014. It's going to take 100 years to return to that state. Maybe, well, 50, you know? So, yeah, it's just such a different time now, man. Such a different thing. The absolute paradigm, that old paradigm is gone. I don't think that it can be rebuilt. I don't think it can.
I don't think so, man.
Yeah. So
it's so good, dude. Well, do we want to try and hit another couple topics I've got sandbagged here before we
let's
call
do
it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, did you hear about the Chicago teachers on strike?
Yeah, I know a little bit about it. Not much, but a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to talk. I mean, none of these things are much to talk about. I don't know. I thought they were really, really important for us to at least acknowledge because it just goes to show the chaos that the left creates with their idiotic policies. And so, yeah, like 300,000 teachers have gone on strike in California. I mean, Chicago, and prize there, leaving 300. No,
right.
I'm sorry. Chicago teacher strike continues, leaving about 300,000 kids in limbo. That's the title of this CNN article. And but mostly, I wanted to just quickly mention is these wildfires out in California, man. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Or the blackouts,
man.
I should say.
Yeah, the blackouts and the wildfires. It's so funny. They seem to black out the power and then a fire erupts there. It's really strange.
I mean, this is something that, we've talked about in previous shows, the cause of these wildfires being, the source of these wildfires. It's not global warming. It's not climate change. It's none of that. It is fuel being on the ground because the left has destroyed the timber industry over the course of the last 30 years. And they've manufactured this problem. And then in concert with that, PG&E is a public company. It's a state company. And, they don't want to raise prices or we don't want to be too profitable. So they don't upgrade the infrastructure. And now they've got this problem where when the wind blows too hard, it causes it sparks fires. And then because there's fuel on the ground, because they destroyed the timber industry, because we need to save the trees, then everything just burns down and it kills people and burns tens of thousands, literally tens of thousands of homes down. And it's become a hellhole there. And it is just, I mean, you could pull this out of the pages of Atlas Shrugged. It's one of those examples when the first time I read Atlas Shrugged, I was just thinking like, all right, this is a little histrionic. Like that doesn't really happen. And then something like this happens. I'm like, my God, like Ayn Rand couldn't have been more on point with Atlas Shrugged.
Right. Yeah, such a good point, man. So true. So, yeah. But it's really sad, man. I mean, and we did a deep dive on the California wildfires, probably sometime in the early 30s, mid 30s of HSP, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
It was a great show. It's worth a listen to go
Robert
back and
and I
check
hit
it
it
out.
too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Y'all did. That's absolutely correct. You did. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a horrible situation. It really is very sad. I mean, like the Paradise Fire last year. Like, dear listener, this is one thing that I find really odd about it. An entire town got wiped out because of negligence of managing the woods, right? And there are numerous other reasons as well. But there are don't believe any of the numbers, okay? The truth of the matter is that there are thousands of people missing from Paradise.
Still.
Thousands. They're like, oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, we think, 60 died. Everybody else is accounted for. No, dear listener. There are still people. Oh, God. I always forget the name of this town, Luke. The one right outside of Tahoe. When you're going up to San Francisco
Truckee?
from Tahoe and you fill up for gas, Truckee, yeah. In Truckee, there was a Home Depot there, and there were like 800 people living in that parking lot. There are still people living in that parking lot, last I heard, which, to be fair, was a couple of months ago, right? There are thousands of people missing. That's how dangerous leftist policies are to human life itself. It's really sad, man. Property destruction to human life. I Have you heard anything about like loss of life after these fires? I have not. I've not heard anything about that, but like I'll tell you, the one that's burning in Sonoma County right now, I know exactly where that fire is, dude. This is some very, very, very high-end properties right there. This is going to be billions of dollars worth of damage, not to mention loss of human life if that also happens. You know what I mean? Billions.
Yeah, so, and then you've got this idiot Greta Thunberg coming out. She's like, if the adults really loved us, they would at least do everything they possibly can. This is a quote from her latest at Vancouver. If the adults really loved us, they would at least do everything they possibly could to ensure we had a safe future. Well, okay. Well, yeah. Why don't you go to the 10,000 families that lost their homes and say that to them?
Yeah. There you go. Mm-hmm. Not the mention of not to mention the hypocrisy of not ever holding China accountable for their polluting the oceans and carbon emissions. You know what I mean? She never has anything to say about China. Luke, I've really been red pilling myself about Greta Thunberg and really looking into what it is about her. It's really interesting stuff, man. She is. I've got a piece about it, as a matter of fact, that I was going to cover on bots, but I just had to bots it even for bots because there was too much to talk about. Right, dude. She is an absolute media creation. She is coached. She has 2 Antifa parents who promoted her in her first school strike that they reported to the media and got media coverage. Just coincidentally, happened to be the day before Greta Thunberg's opera singer mother released her book. It was a marketing campaign, deliberately instigated marketing campaign. And it still is to this day.
Yeah. Her parents are disgusting human beings. They've caused her psychological and mental abuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, she even says like, I'm depressed. You've stolen my childhood. I can't be happy. I mean, these parents should be in jail for what they've done to her.
Absolutely. Yeah, they should lose their child for this. Absolutely. It's child abuse. You know what I mean? And, it's truly disgusting as I find Greta Thunberg. The first time we talked about her, we made the point, I really do feel sorry for her, man. She's just a dog being led around, to go perform your tricks here, dog. Okay, let's come over here and perform your tricks here, dog. That's what her life is now, And the thing is that I find really saddest of all is that, like, dude, when she's got that crazy weird face, right? But you look in her eyes when she's speaking, she believes this through and through and through. She really believes all of this.
Totally.
Oh, God, man.
Yeah. I mean, her and her ilk in this movement, they are dangerous to human life. They're responsible for homes burning down. They're responsible for people without power. They are responsible for energy poverty, and to the extent that they are successful is the extent to which they will damage human life. Do not let any of these people ever get away with anything less than that. They are a threat to human life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, man. That's right, man. It's truly terrifying stuff, man. I mean, it really is. And I think it's something that we've done a pretty decent job about. We haven't been able to cover it as much as we wanted to because, frankly, I'm revolted by this little girl, completely revolted. I don't want to cover this stuff. But, man, these are the types of things that I think, here in these hallowed halls and the right in general, we need to take this kind of stuff very seriously. This is really serious business. They're going for the whole ball of wax now. It's dangerous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Chuck Schumer came out and said he announced a bill to get rid of gas burning vehicles.
Yep.
I mean, these people are just all in on this, and you've got to call them out and call them for what they are, which are dishonest and frankly nihilistic, and at the end of the day, evil because they are out to damage human life. Their standard is Earth tabula rasa, clean slate Earth free of human impact.
Yeah,
that's what their ultimate standard is.
Yes, it is. Yeah, the Earth would be better were there no humanity. That's what they think.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to end on a white pill. I don't want to end on that note.
Yeah,
so I just saw a funny tweet.
All right. Good.
The tweet is, quote, Adolf Hitler, urban planner and motivational speaker, dies surrounded by family.
So, dear listener, refer back to the beginning of the show. That's a reference to the WAPO title, I'm sure, that them changing the title of their article to, what was it, a austere religious scholar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
I like that urban planner and motivational speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a hashtag going around now called hashtag WAPO death notices.
Oh, dang. Man. Oh, Luke.
Mussolini, community service volunteer renowned for getting the trains to run on time, dies at 61.
Good stuff.
Mao Zedong, who saved 20 to 45 million people of 20 to 45 million of his own people from having to suffer through the struggle of existence, dies at 82. Genghis Khan, accomplished horseman and indefatigable traveler, breathes his last.
These are great, man.
Joseph Stalin, former seminarian and noted agrarian reformer, dies at 74.
Oh.
Oh, it's so good.
It is. That's good stuff. All right, man. I know that we are closing the end of the show, but I've got to tell you one thing that we need to get ready to cover. Did you hear about what Trump did about canceling all the Washington Post and New York Times subscriptions in the government? That nobody in the administration, there are no more government paid subscriptions to the New York Times and Washington Post.
No, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did it on, I think, Wednesday of last week, and I've got a little bit of research into it, but not much. The way it was plugged is, we're going to save hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars by not funding these newspapers by the government for people in the administration any longer. So, all right, dear listener, let me just hit it and quit it real quick. Remember what Luke and I proved about how journalism is propped up by government bailout?
Yes.
This is one of these bailouts right here that Trump just canceled. It is so white pilling, man. Good stuff.
That is hilarious. When did he say that? When did he announce that?
It was Tuesday or Wednesday of this past week. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
HSP Boys vindicated. We always said it was funded by government money. This is just one example of how. So.
Oh, that's so white pilling. All right. We saved the show, Russ. I'm white pilled now.
All right. Good, man. Good. All right. All right, so
man.
Is that it? Yeah, is that a show? We got a show?
Yeah, that's a show. That's 58 in the books.
All right, 58 in the books. All right. Well, dear listener, thank you so much for riding along with us all 58 miles. We're going to set up camp right now. I've got a roast, Luke. What you got? You got some barbecue or something like that?
Nah, I'm having dinner with my in-laws and my brother-in-law and his family. We're doing, each year in Germany, it's like a tradition to do this style of cooking called raclette, which is you cook basically. You have this thing in the middle of the table, and it has a sort of like a broiler, like a top-down broiler, and you slide these little things under the heat source, and you just put whatever you want inside these little tiny little. They're like little 3-inch by 3-inch trays, and yeah, you just put like bacon bits in there, throw a slice of cheese, a couple of potatoes, and some salt and pepper, and then put it under there and melt the cheese over it, and then you just do that over and over again with the various ingredients. And anyways, that's tonight. That's this engagement that I have tonight.
Sounds like fun. That really sounds like fun.
It is, dude. It's comfy. It's cozy.
Yeah.
You know, it's all cold outside now, and the leaves are yellow, and streets are covered in fallen leaves, and then it's raclette. So it's like the kickoff for winter here.
All right. Nice, man. Nice. I love it. Well, dear listener, all right, we're going to have raclette around the campfire tonight. That's what's going on.
That's right. Yeah, that's what's up.
All right. Well, let's get on up out of here. What do you say, man?
Let's do it.
All right, dear listener, once again, thanks so much for riding along with us. We hope you enjoyed this show just as much as we did putting it down. Luke and I are going to be back at you for episode number 59. Before you know it, prime number episode coming up, dear listener. Those tend to go well. So tune in for us next week. We promise we will be back on schedule, and we will see you then. All right, Luke, meanwhile, great show, brother. Great show. All right, man. You take care of yourself.
Right.
We'll be in touch.
All right, sounds good. Peace.
Later.